Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan Holder with WHCC, World Heritage Cultural Center. I have the pleasure of sitting with one of the funniest, most amazing personality designers you will ever come in contact with, Miss Asher J. What you've done in the past to kind of get yourself where you are now, because I know there's a lot of things there.
To become a designer, I think it's a very random process in my life, as most things have been. I was put onto it first by my mother, who said that I shouldn't quite be an environmental scientist as it wasn't conducive to my party lifestyle. And so she's like, I really don't see you sitting in the middle of nowhere, like counting the flies on something. So, you should be in New York where everything's happening and, you thrive there. And I surely have. I went to Parsons School of Design on account of that and graduated with a BFA in fashion. And I studied further, actually. I went to do a course in branding and marketing as well. So I have kind of an overall exposure to how one develops an identity for themselves and how you kind of place yourself strategically in the marketplace.
Where did you start? What did you originally go to school for?
I actually studied a lot of science growing up because that was the advocated path. My family is complete. Everybody's gotten a degree out of an Ivy League school. And they will either come up to be doctors or linguists or, something to do with science and having a PhD. So they're a doctor. Everybody's a doctor something, even if they've not studied medicine. So I am the black sheep, chosen a creative path.
You have this fabulous, fabulous accent. Where are you from? Tell people about your background.
I'm actually in Indian, but my grandfather is English, and so I've had kind of a multicultural background in the way I've been exposed to, and that would kind of work with my palette as well.
Where does your creativity come from, having that kind of a diverse background?
My creativity is inspired a lot by New York, actually. I mean, I'm based out of here. My line's based out of here. So it's got a very New York take in terms of how much black it incorporates, but it does have a very ethnic palette that it's rooted in. So the kind of textures, prints that I extrapolate is from the East. I do have the British tweeds and everything else in it as well. So it's kind of a multicultural, ubiquitous aesthetic.
Are there any other people that you really enjoyed working with?
Manu Narayan. There was this girl called Amishet. So they're pretty talented, and it was a pleasure meeting them. Even Manish Arora, who's a fellow designer, had an interesting take. His is very avant-garde, kind of kitschy, but sort of prominent and incorporating a lot going on there. Very busy. Not quite like my aesthetic, but I appreciate difference and divergence as an artist. So, I definitely understand different people have a different perspective.
We heard a little bit about your past. We know what you're doing right now. You're trying to get your line going. Where do you see yourself in a few years from now? How do you see yourself kind of changing with the trend of fashion?
I read this huge article, in fact, about how fashion does not get rooted in trends anymore, and that it's a dying attribute. It's not something that everybody references in order to conjure their line for a season. I think to some extent we're all telepathically connected. You will notice this if you do see the trends or anything that happens in design. It kind of happens simultaneously. It evolves around the same period of time. So you'll see a lot of movies about rats coming out at the same time, for instance, like Ratatouille. Yeah, exactly. And then you'll see, for instance, the same colors being referenced, the same textures. So I've had more than one instance when I've been like, oh my God, I came up with this, but someone else has as well. So I think in that sense we are all kind of intuitively part of this matrix. Whatever I come across, whether I've traveled to a particular nation or the kind of dialogues I've had, the people I've seen, the kind of clothes I've seen on the streets in a random city I was walking through, and I just draw from that, and somehow it gets tied into what everybody else is doing. Like this past season, I was doing yellow and purple, thinking, oh my God, it's unique, it's something that references what I was thinking about. And then, lo and behold, all of Fashion Week did purple last season. So I'm like, no matter how far away you are from researching actively into trend forecasts, you're still part of the world. Like, you're still part of the same reality,
exactly.
So there's only so much you can do to stray away. It's all about the kind of inner confidence you emanate in your everyday life. And it's meant to target a really vivacious, extroverted personality. I kind of evolved my line from a very conceptual place, and almost every design can give birth to a whole different line. And so it's very exclusive and very individualistic, each piece, So it's not like a regular commercial line where it's all derived from a single source. I'm very tangential as a person, and I've realized my mind works in a divergent pattern as opposed to a convergent pattern. You know,
That's a
it's a challenging thing to deal with for me as a designer. I'm
Mm.
wearing a creation of my own. I'm heavy on the prints, like I said, so you can see that. This is actually downcycled silk. It was
Okay.
from an old scarf that my grandmother had.
Hair is beautiful, nice curls.
I actually cut it myself.
Did you really?
Yes, I cut my own hair. It's one of my things that I love, to cut hair, and I cut my own hair because no stylist seems to get it right, and I just seem to know what suits my personality best. So
Exactly, that's how.
it's a custom look.
You said that some of these places also kind of inspire your work. What's the most interesting places you've been to so far?
I loved being in Aruba a couple of years ago. It was such an interesting experience, so laid back. The food's very, very rich. It's Dutch cuisine, so lots of creamy sauces. You barely digest a meal. Crawling out on the island, taking in the sun, soaking in the sights. You get to do a lot of adventure sports. So I had a pretty preoccupied vacation there.
Jealous.
Yeah, and south of France, one of my favorite spots. I'm planning on retiring there whenever that happens. It's in Nice. I love all of France, actually. It's such a beautiful country. It's got such diverse landscapes, and as you traverse, you know, the entire expanse of it, you notice from like Paris down to like South France to Antibes and Eze, it's just completely different. The kind of people you meet, the kind of overall culture, the food, the seafood. Oh, so brilliant.
Oh, you're a
It's
seafood
just-
eater.
Yes, I am.
Nice, very nice. Very nice. And Ash's favorite dish is?
Spicy king crab at Morimoto. Hi, I'm Asha J, and on the behalf of WHCC, proud to be here because they represent a cross-cultural dialogue, which I think is very significant in the kind of globalized world we currently reside in. It's great to be here.
I think she's ready to cook.
Hey guys, we're in the World Heritage Cultural Center cooking kitchen. I'm here with Asher J.
It's a green pea pasta soup. So it's very simple, healthy, low in sodium, which of course is dependent on the kind of chicken broth or vegetarian broth that you use for the dish. I personally use chicken broth, so it's not an all vegetarian dish, but you can customize it to be all out, you know.
Right. How do we get started though?
We actually have to do several things simultaneously. You can use fresh pod peas, or you can get frozen ones as we have right now because we couldn't find it in the marketplace. And you have to actually de-pod your peas, which I have done, and then you need to simmer your chicken broth with the pods.
Alright.
So what the pods are going to do is actually add flavor to the broth, you know? So it's going to give the fresh pea flavor. Chop up the onion and some olive oil.
We sure do.
Yeah, turn that on medium. Add just some of that black garlic pepper. It's got some sea salt in that pasta in there now.
Yes, let's go for it.
And we need to add some sea salt into the water. Once you've de-shelled, like taken them out of the shells, the pods, you just put the peas directly into the onion, saute it a little bit, and then start adding the broth to it, and then your spices and your herbs,
Gotcha.
you know? So this I'm going to add the peas.
Gotcha.
And the peas are going to make all the difference. It's going to make it sweeter. It's going to taste quite lovely. It's literally like about 10 to 15 minutes after this, you know, and it just needs to simmer for a while with the peas, because the peas really do, it's what the whole dish is about. It's the main focus. And then you have spring onions, you have leeks, you know, so you have different types of similar flavor type. So the trick to adding the other herbs to this particular soup is to kind of tie them together with a string. And this is again optional. You need not have rosemary or mint or basil in your preparation.
Okay.
But it just adds that extra oomph. Once it simmers, you'll see the herbs taking effect. So you might want to grab a spoon and taste it now and then see the difference. You can taste the pea pods in there.
That is really good.
It's now when the herbs start kicking in, you'll begin to see how it evolves as a dish. So this is optional. You can choose to just have the chicken broth and pea pod flavor and not use the herbs, but I think the herbs really add like dimension and character to the dish. Okay, so I think I'm going to add the pasta in now.
All right.
You have to ensure that you don't have them clumping up, you know? So you kind of like break them up. It depends on how spicy you want it. I just put like about a teaspoon
like
in
a
it.
good strong flavor.
Yeah, and then, okay, and I add less salt than people would care for, especially for the American palate. But it's once again up to you. You know, you could add a lot more.
We're here at the WHCC kitchen. We just finished our fourth soup. And look at how wonderful it came out. It smells so good. This whole kitchen smells fantastic.
Thank you.